Hey guys, Neptune here, and I'm back with another soul psychology video. First of all, let me get this straight. Some people say that my soul psychology videos have nothing to do with psychology. If you think that they don't have anything to do with psychology, then you are very wrong. And this video in particular is probably the most important video in the series, because today I'm gonna talk about understanding your true skill level and what skill actually is in the context of Dark Souls PvP. So let's get it going with a very simple question. Why do you win? Why do you win in PvP encounter? Or why do you lose in PvP encounter? How often do you question the outcome of the duel or invasion? How often you try to analyze what went wrong or what went right for you? Oddly enough, the majority of players don't actually question themselves, don't actually question the outcome of the duel. And when they get lucky with the repost or lag just saves them, they don't really question it, they just attribute it to their natural skill level and move on. This is such a huge and serious topic for discussion that is applicable to pretty much anything of competitive nature. Yet it is so pitiful in the context of Dark Souls because it's such a simple game in its nature. So those people that don't even consider what the hell they're doing in the game because it's somehow fun to them are dumping the game so much, making it worse for everyone. So let's start with the basics, these so-called components of any PvP encounter in the Dark Souls game. First and most important one is your game plan, followed closely by much simpler execution. And both of those are mixed with random factors that I like to call adaptability because those random factors test your ability to adapt. Let's break all of those in detail, starting with the very first one, game plan. Game plan is your strategy. Game plan is your tactic. It is something that you prepare before the duel with regards to various factors, such as your build, your opponent's build, weapon matchup. Game plan is essentially the script to the duel that you rate, based on your vision of the game, your skill level, and your understanding of it. So many people struggle to write a proper script or have a good game plan. A couple of days ago I made a video regarding the pairing and its use in PvP. It serves as a good example of bad game plan. People that rely on pairing, making it their to-go game plan, are just bad. Because as I've mentioned before, pairing is a straight gamble, and in most cases there are different ways to punish your opponent, other than gambling about it. Any good player, before the match, spends some time analyzing the tools he or she has, in order to maximize the efficiency by using only the best tools that are tailored for the certain matchup. However, most players in Dark Souls don't really do that. They follow whatever happens ideology, claiming that it is fun and deeming everyone with proper game plan tryhards. Yet again, the harsh truth is those people can't really have a game plan because they just don't understand the basic fundamentals of the game, like weapon matchups or the frame data. All those crucial factors are somehow beyond the reach for an average Dark Souls player. Strong fundamentals are always linked to the strong game plan. If you know that A move can counter B move, then you can set your game plan properly, bite your opponent to make a B move and punish him or her. Yet again, this task is too hard for an average Dark Souls player because weak fundamentals. Most players approach the dueling blindly without any set game plan, and it doesn't even get better when they win or lose. If a good player wins a duel or loses a duel, he or she spends some time to reflect on what has happened in the duel to apply this knowledge to adjust the game plan to make a best use of it. However, when a bad player loses, he just goes on the social media to whine how he lost to an overpowered weapon, begging the developers to nerf it. And when this bad player gets a win, he or she can't even apply the experience because there is no game plan behind it. They simply get lucky, and they fail to realize it. Because of that, when you try to question their game plan, they get so defensive. They're fooled to think they're good based on some highlights from the past against even worse players. This dumps the game for everyone so much. And the reason why it's such a shame is because second part of it all, the execution part, is so damn simple. However, those bad players do really mistake the skill that you need to read your opponent to set proper game plan for the skill you need to actually execute attacks. Those people really think that pressing more buttons equals more skill. The basic shit that you actually need in a duel, such as understanding where you can trade, the ranges, the phantom ranges, is so damn simple. There's really no science to it. Aside from the very few advanced gimmicks that may or may not help you, the game is very simple. If you even compare it to a good game like Street Fighter, all the tech you have in Dark Souls is like 1% of the actual skill you have to have if you want to play Street Fighter competitively. So the problem here is the best part, the core part, the most crucial part of the duel is your game plan, and the execution part is very, very easy. However, since those people don't have a proper game plan and they don't understand the basic fundamentals, they assume that pressing more buttons equals more skill, while in reality they just do some nonsense bullshit that makes them die even faster. It takes just a couple of hours to pick enough experience to be able to execute stuff properly and to base your game plan around it. However, those bad players can't even do that. Not only that, the problem lies in the fact that those players can't really improve, because they simply don't have game plan. You can't improve something that doesn't exist. Simple as that. The whole fun of the Dark Souls dueling lies in your game plan, mind games, understanding your opponent. And for some reason, there are actually plenty of people that think that this game relies heavily on execution. And skill really has nothing to do with it. And the problem here is, it gets even worse when we get to the third factor, the adaptability. The adaptability takes as much skill as set in your game plan because it requires you to adapt on the fly to your opponent, to get a good read and to understand how to counter him. However, since those bad players don't really have a game plan, you can't adjust something that isn't there. So they just fail to do so. They'll be dying 10 times in a row, and if you ask them what happened and what caused them to lose, they simply won't be able to reply. And they don't even have any kind of post-match analysis, because they simply can't process it. And if they win, be it a lucky lag or a parry, they'll be glad to attribute it to their true skill level, claiming that they're very good. Those people never adjust. Those people never change their playstyle. Those people do not react to your actions because they simply don't know how to react. You can't change the game plan if you just don't have one. And this is something that is actually heavily supported by the community. Because people actually get shamed for executing their game plan properly. People get shamed for sticking to it. People get shamed for being reactive. People get shamed for being aggressive. People get shamed for all of this. The community just labels those players as a tryhards, as if it's something that is really bad. And if you are labeled as a tryhard, the community actually hates you. And they don't even challenge you, because they simply can't. They don't know how to approach you, because they have very weak fundamentals and no set game plan. You can't adjust it. They just do nothing, and then they die. And what do? They blame you, because they think that you are less skillful, and the only reason that you've actually won is because you have used a cheesy cancer weapon that is extremely overpowered. Instead of adjusting their own game plan to actually win, they just claim that it is unfun and give up on it. And this is my biggest problem with the game. Those people aren't going anywhere. They aren't changing. They aren't changing simply because they don't question themselves. And they can't question themselves because they don't even have a game plan. And I can't change anything about it. This pretty much kills every slightest possibility of this game being played competitively. Because community shames players that have set game plans. Community shames players that are playing reactive or sticking to their initial game plan when they want to win. Because community fails to understand what the actual skill is in the context of dueling. But then again, we're back at nothing, because those players won't be able to comprehend this message. And when you question them, and when you try to give them advice, they just become so defensive. And when you tell them and point out that you can't win a duel if you press parry 5 times hoping to win it, they'll just get so defensive and salty. Because how dare you? How dare you to give them advice? You filthy R1 spammer. How dare you to give them advice that will certainly be invalid? Because you don't press 20 buttons in a row in hopes of doing some random shit and then end up winning. And I can already see the 1,000 comments on how if I want a true competitive fighting game I should go and play Street Fighter. Now listen up, I play Street Fighter, I really enjoy it, but at the same time I can tell you Dark Souls has a lot of potential, and it's just sad for me to see how it all gets neglected. But sadly, as I've said before, as long as this community fails to tell the difference between actual skill of executing your game plan properly and pressing multiple buttons to look like a retard, I think this game has no competitive future. Anyway, thank you for watching, please leave all your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.